All right, I will call the meeting to order. And I'd like to start with an acknowledgement that we are on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people who have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And moving on to our agenda, we do have one addition, and that was 8.1. A letter of support for the Lesser Slave River application for the summer games. Is there anything else? Right here. Oh, yeah.
Yes, so I have this in my written report, however, and I mentioned it in my last verbal report, the September 19th Both Alberta event that is part two, hosted by the same social impact lab. I mentioned it, but then I forgot to make the actual motion last verbal report. So instead of sending an email to all, I just thought we'd add it to today. That's one. Number two, on page 6. Sorry, and back to that item, where did you want to add it, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, we can add
It's in my
Growth
report.
Alberta Conference as 8.2.
Okay,
What do you want to call it?
Growth Alberta Conference.
David, do you have the actual email of all of the, I do, but I'm sure it came to you as well, right, a couple of weeks ago. No, okay.
I don't know, you might have to resend it.
Okay. The second item is on page 6 of our agenda. Reviewing last, under administrative recommended actions, it said the council approves the minutes from May 27th, and that's not accurate. I think we meant to say August 12th, maybe? It's not May 27th.
Oh, when we get to that,
Oh, you want me to read it?
yeah, because that's not an addition, that's a comment on it.
Well,
So,
you're right, it's not adoption, sorry. You're right.
So are we talking about the agenda?
yes,
To the next.
is there any additions to the agenda?
It's not an addition.
Then it's the next one.
Okay, so we have the two additions, 8.1 being the letter of support, and 8.2 Growth Alberta Conference. Get a motion with those two additions. Councilor Dunn,
Move as amended.
all in favor? Carried. And then moving on, there's no scheduled delegations, and is there a public delegation?
Hang on.
Sorry, I thought we were
Yeah.
adopting the agenda.
Yeah, I
until
thought we were gonna adopt the agenda.
changes. I thought we were just talking about additions and then you go to changes and then adopt it. I think.
Yeah, right now.
To the agenda. That's what I thought you were saying.
No, I thought you were talking about the minutes from in page
No.
6.
No,
Oh, there's something else?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe explain it, and then we can see if we can go back.
okay. I want to talk about 6.4, the golf simulator.
Yeah,
It's not in the agenda.
so it's, well, you said it's 6.4.
Yeah, I know, but look in your package, it's not there.
Well, okay, what would you like? Sorry, because we can talk about it in under 6.4. And there is something in the budget regarding.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
My apologies, I totally missed that.
Okay, that was all from your end?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
So I have 3 changes, just, they're errors, but I don't know if we should mention them now. So page 6, like I said, the date says May 27th, and that's, and if we're adopting the agenda, we should have an accurate agenda, right? So it's on page 6, it says council approves the minutes from May 27th, 2025. That is not correct. So we can't adopt the agenda with that line in it. It should say.
I thought it was an agenda item in those minutes that you wanted to go.
It's the agenda. Right, go on.
Okay,
Okay, page 18. I'm assuming that that's David Williamson and not Brady Snow, so maybe that was just. Is the Bishop Fire Chief and not Brady?
Both,
Is it both?
yes.
Okay. Pages 31 and 33. August 26, 2025 on both of those, not 2026.
The 26th.
It should be 2025.
So what page? Sir?
Well, it was already, given the date. 2025.
33.
31 and 33.
Since August 26th.
So with those amendments, we bring it up to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it. You're a year ahead of the scene.
I thought maybe you need something we didn't.
So Counselor Dunn, would you like to retract your previous motion and make a new motion with the additional changes?
I will withdraw the initial motion and, I will, move to accept the agenda as amended with all the amendments.
Okay, so we've got those other amendments of changing the dates. And what's on page 6 was the date for,
Yeah, it was not March 27th, it was August.
sir, what was the change on page 6? I missed it.
The last item that says that council approves the minutes for May 27th, but it's not May 27th.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the orders. Okay. Okay, so with those 3 date changes, do you have all of those state change? Okay. All in favor? It's carried. So any public delegations? No, all right, then we will move on to our peace officers report. Can I get a motion on this?
Welcome. That council moved to receive the peace officer report as presented. Everyone, so I don't know what else to do. Yeah, the rest of it.
So,
No.
Good evening, council. I hope everybody's doing well. So for our peace officer report, this month, since there was no, council meeting in July, I'm just gonna kind of do a recap of what happened in July and a little bit of June as well. As well as the month of August. So, over the month of June and July, we had sent out 101 unsightly notices to property owners just in regards to vegetation. Whether that being vegetation in the backyard, alleyways, front yards, it's kind of all included into that. To break that down a little bit, 53 of those notices were sent out in June and another 48 notices were sent out in July. Out of those 53 notices that were sent in June, we had sent 13 contractors into those properties for cleanups. And then out of the 48 notices in July, we only had 6 non-compliance, so we sent 6 contractors in to clean up those properties. Throughout the month of June, we had 2 encampments that we were, or that was brought to our attention. We went and cleared up those encampments, basically cleaned them up and had our unhoused population kind of move along. In the month of July, we only had 1 encampment reported to us, and one that we had located. We couldn't locate any other ones within town, so that one was removed and taken care of. Over the month of June and July, we had 4 arrests for public intox, so 2 arrests in June, 2 arrests in July. Typically, I like to try not to go that route because there's a lot of paperwork and it takes time away from me being able to patrol the streets. Usually I like to issue tickets in instead of arresting them. But due to how heavily intoxicated these individuals were, an arrest was kind of the only option that we've had, so we did that. I've been continuing with training Edwin, showing him the county, the town, a few of our smaller communities where we have shared service agreements with. Basically just trying to get him familiar with our unhoused population and the people that we typically have problems with. So that you can get comfortable and recognize them. There was no derelict vehicle notices sent for June, just due to the high volume of unsightly properties, vegetation that we were kind of dealing with. So we didn't get any derelict vehicle notices sent out for June, but in July, we were able to get a couple of them sent out. It was only two that we were able to get sent out in July. Once again, had a super high number of unsightly properties that included vegetation, so there was a lot of follow-up, in contact with homeowners and contractors and trying to get everything all cleaned up. For the month of August, for the first kind of 2 weeks of this month, I was on vacation, so there wasn't a whole lot that had happened between that first couple of weeks. Edwin was here and he followed up with a few bylaw matters. And I believe that there was a couple of bylaw fines issued, but that was pretty much it. Our total provincial fines for the month of August, the number looks a little bit low right now, but I just want to express that I was on vacation for kind of the first 2 weeks of August, so I didn't have the opportunity to go out and issue provincial fines, that kind of stuff. This month so far, though, we have racked up about $2,150 worth of municipal fines. Those kind of add up as the days go on. We've had a couple more municipal bylaw fines that were issued yesterday and today that kind of aren't added into this report to reflect that. Another thing that I wanted to kind of mention as well is with school kind of starting up now here next week and the beginning of September, we're going to be focusing a lot on kind of the school zones, the playground zones, and just the overall safety around school areas, just kids coming back to school. We want to make sure that all the kids in the town of High Prairie are safe when they're making their way to school. I think that that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I'm sorry that it was kind of all over the place. Once again, this whole process is still new to me and I'm learning as I go. But I'm open to any questions that council might have.
You're meeting with the county tomorrow,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So I can tell them about that.
Oh, yeah, while I was on vacation, the Big Lakes County had reached out to David and requested that we basically assist them with some more hours and their bylaw files because they no longer have a bylaw officer anymore. So they were just looking for some assistance with the town to kind of help them out and take over their files on an as needed basis. They wanted us to meet with their council tomorrow, just to kind of go through what they expect us to be doing, I guess, within the Big Lakes County. I'm still not 100% sure what it is they want to talk about. I was just asked to attend their council, so that they could speak with us in regards to bylaw files. So that's really the only update that I have in regards to that.
All right, we'll open the floor for questions. Councilor Morgans.
Thank you, gentlemen, and you did great, Brady.
Thank you.
Officer Edwin, I don't know your last name or what you said.
Flores,
Much.
FLORES.
Okay, Flores.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've just been passed this over to you. It's my written report and council will hear it later, but there's one item that pertains to you, so I'll just pass it, if you don't mind. And it's just, you mentioned very good numbers. I know you've been doing a lot of the other side, please. Of the 13 cross-sections you sent out, what's the plan? So it's a public query, that you'll see it highlighted in pink there. What is the plan to get ahead of our backlog, and then what happens after these contractors These 13 sites where the contractor has gone, is it billed, is it tapped onto taxes? What's the procedure?
So I'll speak to this just because Edwin's still in the learning process. When we send a contractor into the properties to get them cleaned up, when the town of High Prairie received the invoices, they're then mailed out to the property owner and they're given a date to basically have the invoice paid. If the invoice is not paid by that date that they were given, then the contractor cleanup gets basically added to the tax roll of the property, and at one point or another, it will eventually get paid.
Okay, and from the day you sent a letter out, does the homeowner have 30 days to respond, to get their vegetation dealt with? Before a contractor sent out, or what is that?
So when I first started here, we were given people about a week notice to kind of clean up their property and have it in compliance. Something that I've come to realize over the past couple of months is a lot of these homeowners have been receiving the notices on or after the due date for the cleanup. So we've kind of changed our process a little bit and we've extended the timeline to kind of 2 weeks to account for that 1 week kind of missed where it gets sent off to Edmonton and however they do their mail process that way. So typically it's 2 weeks or closer to 3 weeks from the time that the letter is sent out to the time that we do the cleanup.
Do you think then, Officer Snow, by the end of the summer, these will be dealt with?
I'm hoping to. Obviously, there's a lot of properties, and there's been a few that have not been in compliance for years, so there's been a little bit of a struggle there, but my plan and what I hope to do is to have the town cleaned up, hopefully before winter hits, so that next summer, we don't have to have this issue of constantly chasing after people, and maybe we'll gain a little more compliance next year once people see that we're actually doing something about it instead of just sending a notice and letting it sit to dry up.
Thank you so much. And Officer Flores, are you just loving it?
I am, yes.
That's it. Good to
It
hear.
has been good. Actually, it's a good process. Thank you both.
Okay, Councillor Yaneka.
Couple things, I'm glad to see that you've recovered from your little dust up there a month or so ago, and it was nothing too serious, a little scary. Regarding these encampments, are they in specific locations, like at J.C. Park, under the bridge?
Yeah, so they kind of pop up all over places. We did have one in J.C. Park. A lot of the times we're finding encampments are being set up under that bridge up kind of by the Dairy Queen there and the West Fraser Mill or Buchanan's Mill, West Fraser Mill.
Yeah.
That seems to be kind of the hot spot for them. I'm not sure if it's just ease of access to amenities or what. Something that I've come to realize just recently is KFC, I guess, will give some of our unhoused population like free drinks or like discounts on stuff if they don't kind of have that. So maybe it's just ease of access for them, but we've had encampments kind of pop up all over the place. Behind Northern Lakes College is a very big hotspot for us in kind of that field where they're going to be building the sea cans. And then also just across the road where there's like the ATCO building, 3 houses, and then it's kind of like a vacant lot there. Inside that little vacant lot in the trees on the right-hand side, there's been quite a few encampments. Recently, the town has just cleaned up the easement behind the Keys Inn. We did have quite a few people kind of setting up encampments and living back there for a little while, but that's been cleaned up and we haven't really had too many issues since then. More recently, we've had Reimer Foundations reach out to us, actually just this week, and informed us of 3 encampments that they had found in their property. So we're working with Reimer Foundations to check in on their property frequently and continue to make sure we're on top of these encampments.
And my last question is, and I'm assuming it's because the month of August isn't complete, but there's no patrol for town or hours of training.
So yeah, we haven't had any training hours, at all this month yet. We have Edwin slated for some training courses here in October. It's just there was nothing available here for August. As for the hours on patrol here in town, I left that blank just because the month of August is not completely over yet and I didn't want to.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I didn't want to give an inaccurate number by saying that, oh, we're gonna be doing this amount of patrol hours.
Perfect, thank you.
Counselor Stenhouse?
So I'd like to follow up on Councillor Martin's question. So is the contractor paid when they finish the job? Are they paid by the town? Or are they paid by the homeowner?
They are paid by the town
Okay.
and then the town follows up with an invoice. If the town does not have their invoice paid, then that's when it gets added to the tax rolls.
And I want to talk about, so the unsightlies, what was the outcome from the weed inspectors? Is there a follow-up? Are they the ones who addressed these weeds and then you discovered unsightlies?
So actually, I was wondering what had happened with that, and then actually more recently, I had just gotten forwarded the report from the weed inspectors. So there's a lot of thistle here in town, and we were planning on actioning it. It's just I never received the weed inspection report until I think it was the end of last month. So we're following up with it and getting through there slowly. The weed inspectors don't do anything themselves. They just strictly inspect the properties, document the address of where they located the invasive weed, and then they compile a report when they're done their term, which then gets forwarded to the town, and then the town forwards it to me to action.
Okay. So were the weed inspectors slow on sending out this report or?
I'm not sure what had happened. It's just I wasn't sent an email to report until the end of July. So, yeah.
Okay, and my last question is, I like the breakdown of this graph and everything, but as we all know, there's been a rash of crime in the town.
Mhm.
Is there anywhere in this where you can categorize, give crime stats?
I can attempt to, yes, but that's gonna take more time away from obviously me being able to patrol it on the streets if I'm spending lots of time going through statistics every month. I could definitely do it.
Well, no, okay, so you know how many school zone tickets are issued, the speeding and stuff, that there was a line item that said crime stats, and then adding that into your,
Yeah, I could definitely do
you
that.
don't have to break it down, but give
Yeah.
me the crime stats.
Yeah, I could, yeah, definitely do that. I'll see if I can work with RCMP, if they can maybe provide me some numbers, because obviously I don't know all of the crime that goes on here in town. Sometimes people call us, sometimes people don't. And the things that I'm not called about, I can't
Yeah.
speak on because I'm not certain, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Shishin?
It's just really simple, but it isn't simple, it's big. Great job, guys, I see you all the time, so it's awesome.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
I had a couple of questions. I just wanted to just see the status of Edwin now, or fully certified.
I'm just kind of like waiting for my appointment right now, and I have a courses that I have to do in October.
Yeah.
That is 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe.
Well, it's kind of split up. So,
So,
collectively. In October, Edwin will be attending EVOC training, so it's called Emergency Vehicle Operator Certificate or Certification. So basically it teaches him how to drive safely at high rates of speed and how to do evasive maneuvers, basically if something were to happen. Edwin is also required to complete his radar LiDAR certification. and shotgun certification.
Yes.
With the town. So to be able to run speed enforcement, he is required to take a radar LiDAR course, which basically shows him how to operate the equipment and how to testify in court, should that situation arise. And then the shotgun operator course is required because we often deal with dangerous dogs and dangerous animals, so we carry shotguns with us to certain calls. And for him to be able to carry that on duty as a peace officer, he's required to basically attend the training. So I think first week of October, he has 3 days slotted for training. The second week is 4 days, and then I think the third week is another 4 days,
4 days.
and then that'll be it.
So right now, you're not a peace officer.
I'm a
you're-
bylaw officer.
Go ahead.
Okay, but I noticed the patches say peace officer.
Yeah, we just, I normally cover it, but
Extend both until 1900, thanks.
Okay, no,
Yeah,
that's
I'll bring
it.
it back.
And sorry, we're just waiting for his peace officer appointment. I don't have a date or time on when that'll arrive.
You come up next week, I would think,
We're hoping, but it's
but,
with the Alberta government. They have an investigation process that they have to go through, as well as reference checks and a whole plethora of security checks. So don't have a date yet. It's kind of just.
Yeah, I know you, when I chatted before, you guys were waiting on it. I
it's,
just was wondering, because I saw that the peace officer.
Yeah, we don't have bylaw patches, so, next best thing. He should have a piece of black tape over this, actually. I'm not sure what had happened to it, but we'll get that fixed up.
Just a comment around the speed zones. Like, I think that's great to get everybody thinking of the speed zones, but we should include it in our newsletter. Just goes out, to remind the public that school's back in, watch the speed zones, they'll be patrolled, right? Between,
I've been putting something together that I plan to have put out by the end of this week, hopefully on the Facebook page, and then I'm gonna include it in the newsletter as well, just as a reminder to all of the residents. That school is kind of good. Watch out the little kiddos. Sorry. Oh, you're good. That's.
Is that something that you go up on the billboard or? Good. Just to make, because it's right on the highway, make people aware.
I also have portable speed signs that we
put out,
are planning to strategically put out come next week, and probably for the first 3 or 4 weeks of school, we're gonna have those out just to, once again, remind residents and people driving through. We have 2 very busy roadways that cut through 2 of our school zones here within the town of High Prairie, so it's not just residents that we're reminding, but it's also everyday drivers who come through our community as well, and keeping them informed that, hey, there's school here and watch out for kids too.
that sounds great. Any update on the fellow that was vandalizing our town office?
He's been issued a few summonses, and we have court coming up here in September for that.
So he had been located and served?
Yeah, he's been located and served.
And I know the last time you were in, you had mentioned you were getting the RCMP in for some of these encampments. Have they been assisting you in removing the encampments?
Yes, I mean, for the most part, we've actually been pretty comfortable with going in and removing most of them ourselves. I haven't been taking too much of the RCMP resources away to kind of assist us with that. There has been a couple of encampments where I've requested additional assistance, but for the most part, I've gotten to know a lot of our unhoused population with how often I've been making contact with them. So I don't necessarily have many safety concerns when it comes to interacting with a lot of these individuals. Now, I'm not saying that, they don't have the ability to become aggressive, But from the contacts and the dealings that I've had with them, for the most part, we're fairly comfortable with interacting with them without having to get RCMP involved or escalating anything like that.
Good, I'm glad to hear it's not escalating or there hasn't been any big issues there. All right, anything else? Thank you very much for your report, that was great.
Thank you. Hopefully next month I'll be back.
That was good. All right, we have a motion on the floor to receive the report for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to our minutes. We have the minutes from April 12th. Committee of the whole. Can I get a motion on this? Councilor Dunn.
I'll move to accept up to approve the minutes from April 12th, 2025, committee of the whole as presented.
Okay. Councilor Stenhouse.
So I will be voting against accepting these minutes. That was like 6 months ago. I cannot recall. Can't recall what was discussed here, and there's limited information in these minutes.
All right, Councilor Martins.
So my question is, I was under the impression that we approved the committee of the whole minutes at the next committee of the whole. In fact, if you see the agenda, it says, hey, council, the committee approved the previous committee minutes. So I'm not sure if it was coming here for a purpose. And secondly, I thought we had the action list that was attached to that, but I'm not seeing it here with the agenda. It's a fairly sparse, that priority action list, usually attached with the minutes, so it's a little bit.
That's usually in the agenda and it's probably posted on the agenda.
But is that, am I just?
Or are you thinking of the strategic priorities and
Yeah,
that one?
Yeah.
After
motions.
something.
Mhm. But I thought that we approved committee of the whole meetings after committee of the whole,
That is what we have done in the past. But I haven't, when I saw this, I had this suspicion of why this was coming in now and maybe I think it's because we may not have another committee
That
of
was
the
my
whole.
next question.
That's right. We
Following.
won't have another committee on because I've got the election.
Okay.
Things are really ramping up now.
Okay, so we put something in the calendar for September or if we did not in the last meeting. Okay.
So I think that's why they were coming here, but yeah. Okay, go ahead, Councilor Danaka.
So my question is from just a refresh. Item number 3. The June 14, 2022, part 3 be removed from the town. Has that been done? Has that been confirmed as being done? I have it locked.
Wendy's nodding her head, yes.
It has been done. Thank you.
Councilor Martins.
Thank you again. So along the same lines, item number 3. It is written here as if this was the first time this was coming to council. We had an investigation because this was deemed done back in the summer, June of 2022. So it says, the motion reads as if this was the first time it's coming to the table, when it should be that it was brought back, an investigation was done, nothing was found. And we asked that it be taken off for the second time because this was done back in June of 2022. So I guess my question is that I'd like that to be noted in item number 3.
Okay, I think it says that in here, what you wanted to say that it was originally requested in June and that the council was asking for it to be done again. It says that in here, right? the committee of the whole recommends that they be removed from all town and Highbury platforms. Isn't that what it's saying? Like, that's sort of the way I read it. But you're reading it another way, I think.
Yeah, I think I am. Again, if I have the actual listing, I can refer to item number 345, but, anyway. It's just that this was it just occurred to me when I read it that it was, we were asking for the first time, when that is not the case.
Okay, anything else? Yeah, Councillor Stenhouse, your concern, I mean, it's normally further in between when we approve these. So I don't know how we do it in a manner that you'll remember all of the things that were covered.
Well, as Councillor Martin said, like the strategic priorities and all that stuff, if that was included in here to refresh what was discussed and what our plans were.
And, you know, with the strategic priorities, for this meeting, I did not include any progress. But I think I'll take those tables that you're normally going to see, and I'll include it with my CAO update for the next meeting. You know, ahead of, you know, the election, and so it tells the public exactly where we are with these priorities. So I'll do that for the next meeting.
Yeah, you've been giving us updates just sort of every month on what the strategic priorities are and any movement that's happened on them. So that's been good. All right, anything else? Oh, we had the motion to receive minutes. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Moving on to the June 24th special meeting of council. Get a motion on this one?
Yeah, how are we gonna do this? Because if we weren't here, how can we vote on minutes that we weren't here? How are you gonna do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can't really.
No.
So, well, to get the discussion going, I'm gonna make the motion that council approve the minutes from the June 24th public hearing as presented. Now we have a motion on the floor where we can discuss it, right? So the question is, how can the rest of council vote on it if they weren't there? Do you have any ideas on that? Sure.
I have no ideas, but you know, it's noted that the meeting didn't go very far, so. So there's no action from it, so.
Okay, Councillor Dinac and then Councillor Winkle.
So I have a couple concerns with this specific meeting. If you could, you're gonna get our procedural bylaw. How did this meeting happen when you had no quorum?
Yep.
So that's an illegal meeting.
Well,
Technically.
yes, but we did want to go through so that the development could proceed and not hold everything up, right? That was some of the discussion, at least to see if there was any issues.
But still, it was a meeting without quorum, which, you know, following our procedural bylaw explains quorum and says that any meetings follow what's in this bylaw. On top of that, I mean, if I was Joe Q Public looking at this minute, where it says purpose of the hearing and notice of the public hearing, there's no explanation, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know what this is about. If I'm Joe Q just looking at these minutes. So I don't know how we can approve a special meeting when there was no quorum to have it.
totally get that. And I think with regards to the information about the purpose of the hearing and everything, that could maybe be, but it is all in the agenda package. Somebody can look it up if they want to confirm what the purpose is. And,
Yeah, and we're just trying to acknowledge that we tried to have a special meeting, and then when it started, we realized there wasn't quorum. And we documented a little bit that there was a verbal presentation since the person was here. We heard him out. That was it, so. And there was no resolution to or a decision made at that meeting. But it's kind of documented that we attempted to have a meeting, but there was no quorum. So it's informing the public that way.
Councillor Waco.
This can't go down as a meeting, there was no quorum. Just plain and simple, right? There was no quorum. The way it should have been done is, call the meeting to order, there's no quorum. You know, it's done. You could have pushed it back. I mean, considering that there were no written presentations for or against, there was just, Doug Shanklin from college was there. It could have easily been pushed back to the council meeting when we were all able to be here, since, it's the middle of the day, really, right? And just couldn't be here. That this isn't a meeting, we cannot approve this. These aren't minutes. This is nothing.
Can,
The other question being, how can we approve these minutes if we weren't here? The same way that if after the election, if we all lose, the next council would approve the minutes from the previous meeting. You vote on them. You can't really change anything because you don't know what happened. But this wasn't a meeting. This was nothing. It can't go down as a meeting.
can we, so just step back in, because it's not a meeting, can we say that it was information provided to the individuals that attended?
Yes.
Call it not a meeting, like just say it was an informational session to the people that could show up.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I had all of the same concerns, even then, is saying, we didn't have quorum, so how do you work this? Because, they needed an answer to move ahead and they wanted to proceed. They were here. We weren't.
Yeah.
So we did hear a note. There was one person that listened in and had questions, but wasn't a concern once they knew got their questions answered, right? So I think it served the purpose that the public knew about it. The public was here to voice any concerns. There was no concerns at the end. Questions were answered. Everything went, so you could, and then based on that, we could proceed. But like you said, it wasn't a meeting with quorum. I don't know how we record that other than just saying there was, maybe saying no quorum. However, the meeting went ahead to see if there was any issues. There was none. So that when we went to our regular meeting of council, it was approved.
No,
No.
you can't call it a meeting at all. You can say there was no quorum, an information session followed. And go from there. I think that's how we have to do it.
Just say it was an information session.
Yeah, sure.
And that there was no concerns raised at the session.
Yes.
Councillor Yashisha?
I think my question was answered actually, but so a public hearing is always called a special meeting? Or was it actually a public hearing?
Well, it was a special meeting for the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, so I
I don't
made,
like this at all.
I made the motion, so I am going to withdraw my original motion and say that council bring this back to our next council meeting with a revision of the meeting was canceled due to no quorum. However, an information session was held and just explain there was no issues raised at that information session.
And if I may, perhaps touch base with municipal affairs and just see, make sure we word this right. We don't want to screw this up.
Yeah, I would. Okay. Councillor Donaka.
Well, I mean, that's all well and good, but basically you're just changing it so it meets the criteria of something, right? So I'm not sure how to proceed with this. Because, I mean, it was still, I don't necessarily think you can call it a information session. Because you were looking for written presentations for and against, and Mr. Shanklin just happened to be here. And he had his presentation, so I'm not sure that's the proper way to proceed with these.
Well, we can get some advice from municipal affairs.
But I think that's the first place to start. After they say, well, you shouldn't have a meeting in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. So until we get some clarification from municipal affairs, I don't necessarily think we can do anything with this specific item.
So the motion does say to get some direction from municipal affairs, but with our thoughts that this is how it could work, and maybe they have some other ones, but to bring it back to next council. Okay. Any other discussion?
Sure. I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Are we voting on what's?
The motion is to check with municipal affairs and with the idea that perhaps we had the meeting or it was canceled due to no quorum. However, an information session was held with a brief explanation of what went on. That was what we had talked about here as a way of recording what actually occurred. See if we can go from there. So that's the motion. Yep, go ahead.
So I certainly agree with directing the administration to contact municipal affairs. I'm just thinking of that and bring back that feedback. I don't think, the thing that we have minutes for are meetings, regular meetings of council, special meetings of council. This is neither, there's lots of weight. As your motion states, let's direct administration to approach municipal affairs with the matter and come back with feedback. And leave it at that, as opposed to saying, bring back an information session to record it.
My motion is just that was our idea to see if that would work. If there is a better way to do it, we need to. But at the end of the day, we have an agenda that's posted for that special meeting, and we should have minutes that record what happened at that, or didn't happen and why. So that's why I'm saying it might be just a simple thing, meeting was canceled and this is what proceeded. But maybe municipal affairs has a better idea. Councillor Shishin.
So can we read that again, or can we get the motion again? Because it would be a suggestion of, this is the solution, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm okay with going to municipal affairs, but I'd like to hear what they have to say. You know, maybe that could be part of the conversation, but I really want to hear what they have to say, not, okay, we think this and this, what do you think? You know? Like the voice.
To make it, what I'm hearing is that maybe we just leave it as contact municipal affairs to get some advice. We've given our, I'll call it informal ideas to our CAO, and he can bring those ideas up and see if it works. Is that, I'll just say to contact municipal affairs and get back to council. Does that work better?
I think so.
Okay,
It's more clear, yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it at that, and we have one idea that we came up with and see that or something else would work. Maybe that's not even acceptable what we came up with. You got a different idea. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Got the two, you got those?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to our August 12th minutes, can I get a motion on these? Counselor Gunn,
I move to accept the minutes as presented from August 12th.
all right. Any errors or omissions in these minutes? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to 6.1, sale of surplus equipment. Motion on this? Nobody's wanting to make motions tonight. Counselor Dunn,
That council approved the amended sale of surplus equipment policy.
all right, so. Turn it over to our CEO. Anything you want to highlight in this?
And no, I'll bring up, fire chief and, police officer. They just wanted to highlight that the equipment that they would put up for sale is specialized, and I'll let you guys carry it on.
Okay.
Say it again.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys can just.
So, this is all new to me, this RFDC, so bear with me on this. So we're just asking for more of an updated policy on sales of surplus equipment. We have attached the current one that was made or approved in 2003. We've changed some stuff to work it for fire and the peace officers. We have special equipment that I personally don't think that the public should have, and maybe other first responding agencies could use it. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay. So we'll open the floor for questions and then we'll get to it. And I see Councillor Danaka,
Counselor Martin was first.
Councillor Martins.
And then I'll go after Naka.
Okay, so I recall this and I'm still in favor of putting out surplus equipment to the public without going through an auction process. I think in one of your examples, my initial question was, is there any liability or risk of people getting things that they shouldn't? But I think you've addressed that, so I want to make sure that the policy addresses that. Second question, when it comes to the peace officers' equipment, because it is a joint contracted service and that money is going to the fire department fund, is there anything that we need to be aware of there? Because that is a kind of a joint funded. Will the county come back and say, hey, some of that equipment we kind of paid for? You know, fire department stuff going to the fire fund, perfectly fine. I'm just asking the question because it's just a thought that occurred. Is some of the peace officer equipment, because it's a shared, others are contributing to it, not just the county, is a smidgen 1/10 of that, technically not our fund.
So those sales of fire surplus
100% is
will
our.
come to the
Correct.
fire department through the rescue society.
Yes.
Or as it's listed in there, it goes to the training grounds.
Right.
and equipment upgrades. As for the peace officers, it would go to additional uniforms, that kind of stuff. I think he actually listed it in there as well.
It's in one of these, this one.
Uniform, gears, patrol units, and
Community initiatives.
Okay, Councillor Tanaka and then Councillor Stenhouse.
So, as I was reading this, I think to make it run a little smoother, I think number 9 and that whole section should go under number 2. Because you've got your sale of your surplus equipment, and then I think under that should be this, the sale of the specialized equipment. Because you're talking about your reserve bid and all the rest of the stuff, and then you go, oh, wait a minute. If it's specialized, it follows this process. So if you keep, to me, if you keep how the sale of surplus equipment and then the sale of specialized equipment all in one section, this makes it easier for people to go, okay, that makes sense. Other than that, the rest of it is I'm fine with. I would just like to see number 9 go to like 2.1 or something. Or 2 however you want to do that.
Actually, I agree with that, to make it, yeah, flow a little bit better. So I appreciate that.
Councillor Stenhouse.
Okay, so, the proceeds. When we have these sales, where do the proceeds go to right now?
Since I've been there, I haven't sold anything. So, I know when we sell fire trucks, that kind of stuff, that obviously goes to the purchase of the next unit. Right, so that's not what we're talking about, we're talking about like our rescue tools, to radios, to that kind of stuff. We, again, as far as I know, haven't sold anything. But as everybody knows, we just recently, we've purchased brand new extrication tools. So we were actually gonna go and put the cost of them, or they were gonna buy them off of us, put them against the purchase of the new ones, but they were only gonna give us $5,000. We're hoping to get maybe 10. So it's more, I don't know how to say it, it's more beneficial for us to hold on to those tools than to just give them away for $5,000.
Right.
So we're talking, it's gonna be low numbers, and I actually thought we're gonna not say, sorry. So again, I'm not just going out and saying I have this for sale, I'm gonna consult the CAO. And then he'll give me direction on if it's maybe a big ticket item, I come to you guys. Right? So that's where, again, it's a big ticket item, but it's still going back to, like, it's already been paid for. Right? So it's still staying with the fire service. It's just going into more training, right? Our expansion of our training grounds. Our purchase of new tools. So again, I go back to those tools we just purchased. Our society put out 1/3 of that to purchase those tools. So and with that, again, we hold events, fundraise for them, which is awesome because my few members I got left are all about it. And it's a way for us to give to the community, but still make money to expand our training and surrounding departments' training.
So my question really wasn't answered because you don't know, right? Yeah, about the surplus. When we have a surplus sale, where does the money go? And
Sorry, I'll interrupt you here. I mean, if it's fire equipment's being sold, it's gonna go back into the fire equipment reserve.
Well, that's the new policy. Where does it go now?
Now,
It would just go into our general,
Reserve, a capital reserve for equipment.
or does it go into operating?
No, doesn't go back into operating.
And then what's left in operating gets put into reserves after.
That's right. That's right. You wouldn't, you sell a capital, a piece of equipment, you don't put it into operating, the proceeds of it. You would tend, any municipality would tend to put it into their capital reserve, whatever capital reserve they have slotted for fire services or peace officer
Well,
equipment.
no, just take that out of it. If this is just going, something getting from public works or recreation or
Yeah.
whatever, where is that?
where does it go?
It would go into, if we sold anything, it would go into a capital reserve.
Like the unrestricted?
It could be unrestricted, but it would be, I would tend to think, well, I tend to know that it goes into some sort of capital reserve. Just to make it cheaper to buy new equipment down the road.
And then, like you guys wrote it out really good, except for the order of sale. So it's for first responders, internal town departments, external government or emergency organizations. I would like to see in there, as you know, I am a big advocate that we should not be contracting out our peace officers to the neighboring municipality for the Smoky River. I would like to see an option where a municipality who's looking to start their own could be included in this, would it be on the list before it went to public? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, that would still be kind of classified under the other first responder agencies. So like if the MD of Smoky River decided one day that they wanted to create their own peace officer program, they're becoming a first responder agency, so that would kind of fall under that category.
Before it went to
Yeah,
public?
before it went to public.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it, thank you.
My question is that we're calling this specialized equipment that should not go. I guess I'm just trying to decide what's specialized equipment versus what's not specialized, because we have a procedure for not specialized stuff. And what you're suggesting here is that there should be something separate if it's specialized stuff that the public shouldn't have. You're basically saying this is specialized, the public shouldn't have it. So step number 4 is the public would get it. So why would we offer it to the public if this is something the public shouldn't have? Right? That's why it's been deemed specialized. Otherwise, it would be just general surplus process.
It's actually a valid point.
Well,
But I think that's possibly why you guys separated it, right? Why you have 9 for sale of specialized equipment and you have 2 set up for surplus equipment. Because there's a definitive statement around what's specialized and what's not. And the reality is I'm thinking that there's some equipment that bigger businesses like oil field companies and stuff could utilize, but they're public. Where, and so I think we have to define who the purchaser is going to be, because if Joe Public gets a hold of something that can rip machines apart and decides to, utilize it in a criminal way, then that's an issue. That's where you run into liability and stuff. So I don't know. Those are just what I was thinking on that.
so for me, it would never go to the public sale. that it's just in there, so if, say we have fire hose, right? Like for me to give a whole list of every possible sale or piece of equipment that I have, it's continuous, it's ongoing, and for you guys to, I mean, to come here and get you guys to say, yes, you can sell that. I might lose the sale, I might, that piece of equipment still might be certified. But by the time I get a decision from council, it might not be certified, right? So for me, I would probably sell nothing to public in that aspect because it is specialized equipment.
So let me just back up, and maybe I'm not understanding this right, but when you're talking in this, what you're proposing here is this any fire equipment, period, is considered specialized, therefore is not sold. So even a hose, a fire hose, would not get sold to anybody, the public. I'm thinking there, in my head, I'm thinking, you know, specialized things like, you know, the jaws of life. You don't want just anybody having, however, a fire hose. You know, somebody may want it around their farm for watering their cat or whatever, right? Like they could use that kind of hose.
Yeah, absolutely. So if it gets to 4, and if it's on hose, 100%, that's some hose, right? But if I can assist other neighboring departments that need these tools or hoses or pumps, yeah, the farmer could use them, but I potentially might go on an emergency call with this agency that now I know has these tools, right? So it benefits us, it benefits them. If we go to them, we know what they have. If they come here, we know what they're bringing, right? So to me, it's probably only gonna stick with that first responding organization. And again, that's where the conversation between myself and Brady and the CAO have to come in to figure out who we can sell it to. So if we go to a first responding agency, we can't sell it to them. And depending on what it is, then we go to the internal town department. Can the town use those, right? Flushing hydrants, that kind of stuff. But if first responding agencies can't use our radios because they have a specialized frequency, maybe we can't go to that. Maybe we can go to an external government agency. So it's just options, and there's no way I would sell those kind of tools to the average Joe. That's why it's in there, but there is some stuff that potentially could go to the public.
Okay, so I guess in my head where I'm getting a shift in thinking is really, I was thinking this was just those little items, those few items that are truly specialized that you wouldn't want to go to the public. In reality, what you're saying is you want anything that the fire department is going to surplus to be treated the same way, whether it's a fire hose or the jaws of life, it's covered in this policy. As it's covered as specialized equipment from fire or enforcement services. Okay, so.
And that's the order.
Yeah, so we want to. And so then it would mean your two departments would be treated differently than the other departments in the town. Than, you know, like public works or recreation, or, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what you're looking for
That's what
in this policy. Okay. Maybe I'll ask our CAO, what's the rationale for treating it differently, other than those few specialized items that we don't want to go to the public? It's allowing money to go back into the department. But that's essentially what happens with anything, right? Like whatever department we sell, it goes back into surplus. Or, you know, into restricted reserves. I don't know what someone answer, yeah. Why a difference here? Like I can certainly understand if it's something specialized.
Okay, so what's specialized to you might not be specialized to that person. So
Yeah.
it's really anything that we have could be classified. a sledgehammer, right? Even though, just because it says rescue tool on the side of it, is technically something that is special. Right? So, and again, for me to sell that to a first responding agency is better than to sell it to the farmer down the road. And that's in my views, and that's why we listed it in order from 1 to 15. And for it to come to the Fire Rescue Society, the reason we want to do that is so we can continue to upgrade and update our rescue tools. We went from probably with the new battery operated tools, we went from probably a 3-minute setup to literally a push of a button. And we're cutting a car, we're spreading the door. It's awesome. Like, hopefully I never have to use it, but it's there, right? So that's the money that we want to have to update those tools, right? And not have to wait till a year or 2 years have come, right?
But if you need equipment, I hope you feel you can come to the town and ask for what you need too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if there's no cost, so we can give back to the community while fundraising and using a bit of the stuff that the taxpayers have already paid for to update those tools or upgrade those tools, that's what we're looking at. To me, it's gonna be a little, like, don't get me wrong, there will be some stuff I'll have to come to council for, but this is just gonna offset those little things.
Well, and I do think that in the case of the fire department especially, you guys have a lot of volunteers and stuff that we're giving. So I think give it some more ownership there, and that you can kind of look at it and plan, and you do a lot of your own fundraising for that stuff. I think that's, for me, I'm okay with that. If it gives you guys some more ownership of that. And you put in a lot of time and effort on that stuff above and beyond, so. That's just my thoughts. Councillor Tanaka?
So what I'm hearing from you, David, is that so if you don't want to sell anything to the public, then why is it included in here?
Because I need them to have it so where I can sell it to other agencies.
Well, that's fine, other agencies, but you don't want to sell to the public, so why is the
Well,
public in here? Is
So
what I'm saying.
other agencies, internal departments and that kind of stuff don't want to buy it. That pen is a specialty tool. That's
Can
a lot
be.
of stuff, right?
Yep.
So if those first 3 departments don't want it, I could sell this pen to the average Joe. So that's why it's in there. But
Right,
if this thing here was a life safety tool that would rip a door off of a car, I'm not gonna sell it.
right, so if those 3 other agencies don't want it, then what happens to that specialty pen that can lock the
It
door?
goes onto the shelf until I could find somebody in a special
Okay.
agency.
But it gives us the discretion to decide whether,
Okay,
at the end of the process, well, could we really consider this specialized?
Okay.
We want some discretion so that if we decide to go to the
Okay.
public, we can.
okay,
So wait, sorry, I'm gonna go back to Brian, if that's all right. So like I said, we spent 50,000 on those tools and then we probably got another $30,000 to $40,000 on our training grounds. We want to expand it. And we don't want the taxpayers to have to pay for it. Since they've already paid for these tools, if we can take that money and invest it into our training grounds, to modernize it, right now, well, James would relate, we have a seat can, right? So it's 8 feet wide. Most houses now are what, open concepts. So we want to get more seat cans, slam them together, rip the middle part out of them, make that big open concept to allow our firefighters, surrounding agency firefighters to start training in the modern day. That make sense? So that's why we wanted to come to the society, so we know what we have and we know it's available. If we come across a C-CAN tomorrow, we could buy the C-CAN if we have X amount of dollars. Or if we spent X amount of dollars, we know, well, if we sell this and this and this, that's coming back to the society to replenish for future investments.
Counselor Stenhouse?
Okay, I'm just trying to get this clear. But this specialized pen,
Okay.
was it bought by the society or was it bought through the fire department budget, which was paid for by the taxpayers?
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, no, but this specialized pen, was it bought through the society or was it bought through the fire department budget?
Bought through the fire department.
So, why would you not, when you sell this specialized pen, offset the fire department budget on equipment?
So I guess then I can't expand my training grounds, that kind of stuff, right? This is just gonna allow me not to come to you guys every year and say, I need $150,000 for this, $150,000 for this. It might come back and say, I need 75,000, because we sold 4 things and got $25,000, right? So we only need X amount of dollars, so it's still, I don't know how to, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let's, so you bought this pen and you sold it, but you took the proceeds from that sale and put it somewhere else, and now we have to go to the public and say, listen, we need a new pen. And they're gonna say, well, how much did you get for the old pen? Why don't you put that money?
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
That's what he wants to do.
That's what I want to do.
But there's 2 different things here. There's budget and the society. The society, where does the society get its money from?
Fundraising.
Okay, so it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. The fire department comes out of the people's tax dollars. Society, so they bought this pen. You sell it, but you take that money and you put it into the society, which is opposite, but yet you have to buy a new pen to replace that old pen. What the public's gonna ask, why didn't you use the proceeds from the sale of the old pen to buy the new one?
That's what we're doing. We're not selling it until we get the new one. So we're gonna take the money that we sell from previous stuff. So let's say a pump. We buy a truck, it comes with a porta pump on it. The next year we get another truck and it comes with a porta pump. We have a spare pump.
Right.
Right? I sell that pump. Right? So now I take that money from that pump, goes into the society. Now I can put that money towards another piece of equipment. I don't need that pump. Like, I'm giving you a lot of pens and
I
pumps
know.
and stuff, but
But do you know what I'm saying? The original pump was bought by the taxpayers, right?
yeah,
Now you're gonna buy a new one for, let's say, $10,000, but you sell the old one for 3. Why would you not use that 3,000 to offset the $10,000 pump? Because the society and the fire department are 2 entities, right? The society is a fundraising that you fundraise for, right?
Yeah.
Whoever supports it.
absolutely.
Where the fire department budget is a mandatory that the taxpayers pay for. Oops, I didn't have my mic on.
Still don't.
So I'll give you a few things
Okay.
stuff that our society has paid for, that from our fundraising, all that stuff,
Right.
that it doesn't just benefit the society. It benefits the town, the surrounding areas, the firefighters that use it. Car fire props, we have that now because we bought all the stuff with society money. Large hydrant gate, you guys probably don't know what that is. This gate allows us to tag a hydrant in 1.5 minutes rather than 3 minutes. On a fire, when your family's in there, time is everything. Confined space prop. You might think, well, where's the confined space here? Hospital, prime example, huge backers of the confined space. We have a prop that we have interchangeable stuff. Our members bought the stuff, built the stuff at zero cost to the taxpayer. Okay, so remember with this, it's all coming back to the taxpayer. Open wall concept, hose advancement prop allows us as officers to watch our guys move in a structure without being in the structure and getting hit by a water stream, right? It's better for us to give them direction. What we want to do now is expansion of our burn chamber, right? That's our interior seat cans that we want to expand. Probably $40,000 ticket item right there. Gas riser prop. Another propane tree. It's huge. It's awesome. Again, it's a prop. We use it. Hopefully we never have to use it, right?
If I can interrupt you here, I think where the confusion is, and I understand why. From what you're saying, that from the society's accounts, they will pay for capital equipment. And I see here in the proceeds, it says under the fire department, these funds shall not offset town capital or operating budgets, but actually you are offsetting the capital when you're purchasing equipment. Because it's coming from your proceeds, it's coming from the proceeds of, sale of equipment, but it's going back into the town, so the council doesn't have to approve more in capital dollars. I mean, you're saving, in the future, you're saving taxpayers money because you're offsetting these capital purchases, right?
I'm offsetting that.
I think so. I
That's
think,
right.
I
You
think
are.
that's what you're.
So I think the wording here needs to change. I think we can take out that last sentence. These funds shall not offset town capital or operating budgets. You don't need to say that
Oh,
because your purpose is to offset capital
Yes.
down the road. So I think we've confused
Yeah,
everybody here. So,
no, it makes more sense what you just said.
so we'll take out that sentence. We'll reorder, we'll put section 9 under section 2 and leave it at that unless there's further concerns.
Councilor Martins.
David, I'm just gonna ask you one final question. The fire society, does it have a board or is it just the fire, your crew that sits on the society? Or
it's the members on the fire
you
department.
guys meet like a monthly?
We usually have a meeting every month.
Okay, and does the society keep track of finances? Is there a financial statement every month?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I don't see any other questions. And Joan, your motion was to adopt the policy as presented, but we were just, as we discussed, taking out the one sentence under the use of the proceeds.
Yeah.
And the
Adding 9 to
reorganizing number 9 and so there's two processes. One is for all of the other departments except for fire and enforcement services. So it could be written that way, right? For, sale of all departments except sale for these two departments. So do we want, I guess, because of that, maybe we should see it come back
Yes,
to council just to make sure we're all on and like the wording.
but, and because the title says Town of High Prairie Sale of Surplus Equipment. This should be surplus equipment for fire department and peace officer. Don't group it into all of Town of High Prairie. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, we have to have a policy that deals with the
Yes,
disposal of surplus equipment for the town.
correct. And if you read it, the original one, it is so out of date, so I think this all needs to be revamped, the surplus. But there should be a separate policy of its own, with its own title.
I agree with that, just because of the specialized equipment stuff.
Yeah, and maybe
This
a
is not-
motion of it in, or
Yeah.
a mention of it in the original, policy that sale of fire and enforcement will be handled
Yeah.
under a separate
It's
policy.
not included in this policy.
Yeah. Councillor Shishin?
Yeah, I think that's the base. I reread it a few times and it kind of clarified through the discussion here, but, yeah, I mean, specialized equipment is specialized equipment and, yeah, I see that as two separate things and it should, I think it just has to come out a little bit clear. But that's why I agree with the rewrite and bring back and then I think it'll be city much more clear. It's kind of jumbled together. I know what the meaning is. I get that, but it's, yeah, just
So instead of
trying to get it all together there in one, I think, but yeah, I see that as special. I agree totally with the specialized, that's.
specialized, should it say all?
It just should say fire.
It's gonna follow that 4-step.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it specialized, I'd just call it fire.
You have your own
And
policy.
enforcement services.
Yeah, I think that would be clear, yeah.
So now do I do that? Like that's just new to me.
No. We have a bylaw policy right here.
Okay.
So I'll go back to Councillor Dunn, are you okay with saying bring back, two policies, one for town of High Prairie and one for, fire and enforcement services?
Yes, I would respectfully ask administration to do that.
Okay. Any other questions before we vote? All in favor? Carried. All right, 6.2, can we get a motion? Thank you, guys, I know.
Yeah.
That was basic, but
But we have to understand, that's why.
Yeah, I had a different vision when we started. Tree assessment and removal, get a motion on this one, 6.2. For Waco.
Council approve the agreement, allow the work to proceed. Calvin Clark.
Okay, and then we can have some discussion. I am sure we'll see how out there. We'll start with Councillor Dinac.
Problem with this getting done. My question is, why is there only a contract with Avid and not with Barber Tree Services and West Fraser?
So we haven't gone that far yet. First was the approval of this project and then we set out contracts.
Okay,
Yeah.
because Avid's contract is in there.
When I had my meeting with Tolko at the JC Park, they wouldn't proceed without something in writing first.
Okay,
Speaking to me, they said they won't agree to anything without a contract.
okay,
Whereas speaking to Barber Services, when they were there, they said this wouldn't have to be done until we actually got the contract and it moved forward.
okay. So each one of those will have a contract. Barber,
Yes, they'll all have their own individual contracts, so it's agreed upon.
okay,
Just a bit of a background, oh, sorry. Oh, background on the trees. So this has become an urgent issue because they are now falling on their own. First one that fell was during a baseball game. Luckily, it was very slow moving and the game had just ended, so there was no one in the way. The other two, one was on a calm sunny day, like there was no rhyme or reason for it falling. So when I had Barber Services come out, he did do assessment of just the area where they are falling, because that seems to be the most urgent area. They all have heart rot. They're all splitting. He said also just the way they were planted 60, 70 years ago, Because there's trees on one side and not the other, they're naturally branching out to where the sun is and slowly leaning that way. He said they've hit maturity. This is what happens after so many years, but now they're just falling on their own. And unfortunately, because some of them are about 95 feet tall, our town crew cannot handle that. We don't have the certification, the equipment, or the ability to fall a tree of that size. There's just no way.
I'll second that.
This is not a question for you, Sina, but with the tree assessment that was completed by whomever we hired, was J.C. Park part of that assessment?
AC.
I'd asked another employee about that. He did not think J.C. Park was included into that because that was a whole separate project pretty much, but I can't confirm it.
Was that not just the trees that were, what do we call it, historical?
No, it was supposed to be a town-wide.
That was
town asset.
that was a complete assessment of town trees.
That's right.
When was that?
Not that long ago, April.
That was a year or two, but I think it focused more on the trees in the residential area, not in the park, I think. But it's a good question, because I don't
We
know.
should have I know we were given a copy of that. It should be somewhere. The tree assessment should be in a binder somewhere. That it's not, it's gotta be less than a year old.
It is less than a year old. It's less than a year old. Yeah, I would request a copy of that tree assessment.
But I think the other thing that, Sam's brought out, and I went and took a look at the trees there, and they are huge. Like, they are big, and it's great that we can get a feller buncher in there to remove these, because if they fall down, they're gonna cause a lot of damage, and they are, like I said, at the end of their lifespan. They're mature to getting to over mature status, and they've been coming down, and the winds we know are getting more and more, so it is something that needs to come down. But I would say, I know that it was dated in here of 38 trees, how many?
35.
35. When I walked around there, there's far more than 35 that should be taken down. And if we're getting a feller buncher in there, I would suggest that we get all of them taken down, because those other, there's probably 70 to 80 trees that should come out of there and make a nice gap between the ball diamonds and some of the trees, and all of those big or poplar trees that are there. So I would say not just 35, but more than 35, because that buncher can just pick them up and put them wherever they need, so nothing's going to get damaged. And so I would say we should get more of them removed once they're there, and all of the moving costs, because going from 35 to 70 trees is only another hour's worth of work for them.
And seems
No,
been,
see them saying, no, why isn't that?
So initially when I asked Topo to meet and West Fraser, West Fraser just didn't have the ability to come bunch them for us or all the trees. Topo agreed that they would use that's why we had specifically are naming Abbott in this, because that's the contractor they said they would hire to do the work. So we did have, one of the foremen from Abbott come out and Tolko, and they advised that this is a courtesy they're doing for the town, and they don't have the time, or we're bringing in equipment for this. They don't want the trees. They said the trees, because they are public trees, they can't guarantee that they're gonna be safe when they put them through the mill. It could be dangerous, there could be things in there. So they don't even want them. So this is more of a courtesy. When he asked about the cost, he said he would need to talk to others. It's about 12,000 to haul them all. Topo hasn't agreed to the amount that they would pay. And I didn't want to push because they're doing with service. That's,
But we could still ask them to do more and pay instead of 12,000, 20,000.
yes, he said, once you've gone through council, because this is something, he was lined up and ready to go like the next day, and I said, unfortunately, I have to go through council, get approval. He said, depending on the timeline, they might not be available for that, because they are working in East Prairie and, sorry, I can't remember the other area, and that's where they're stationed right now, and that's gonna be their busy time, that they'll sneak us in as a courtesy to the town, because they are a member of this town.
Councillor Stenhouse?
So this barber, services, this $27,000 bill, that is
Crazy.
yeah. But who's covering that? Is
It's just.
No, that is just for the cleanup of it.
that
So,
me?
when I first had Barber Service come in, just
Yeah.
to do an assessment of these specific trees, because this seems to be the area they're falling first. He roughly advised it'd be about 100,000 if he was to fall the trees himself and, do the cleanup, because he couldn't fall the trees with a buncher. He would manually have to go up there branch by branch. And that's when I went to Tolko and West Fraser to see if they had the ability to do it, knowing they do have bunchers, that's part of their business. So I addressed Barber Services requesting what it would cost to stump the trees after, because it becomes a liability for us still, because there's these tree humps sitting in the middle of a park that need to be brought down, cleaned up. With minimal damage.
So I guess so this is what we would pay to remove the stumps? So was it, why would this not be put out for bid?
Be an awful lot more expensive. Like, we've got two pulp and paper mills that are chipping in here, so I can't see why we go out to RFP.
No, I'm talking about the stump removal only, like,
So,
why,
There's almost two separate processes. One is the removing of the trees using
Yeah,
Tolko
yeah,
and West Fraser helping, which is
Yes.
fantastic. And so I think that's great, but I hear what you're saying, like the stump removal, when the stumps are there, at the end of the day, they're not a hazard, it's not a,
right?
I mean, that could be put out for tender, and once everything is gone, people can make a better assessment of what it would take to clean it up afterwards.
Yeah, and we could bring that, it could be put into next year's budget, like, yeah, why would this not go out for bid? The stump removal.
yeah, sorry, I'll just go through the process. So there's a few processes. First is the falling of the trees. Tolko agreed that they would come in, drop them right there.
Mhm.
So we'll have to remove some fencing to prevent damage. So they will drop the trees. West Fraser will bring in a few staff to just cut up the trees for us, because that's requires a lot of work. So they will come in and cut up the trees for us free of charge. So West Fraser won't touch us with a bill. And then once those are cut, we still don't have the capabilities to remove them. If we were to use town facility vehicles, you would have been making 500-600 trips. And that just, we don't have the time, the energy, the timeline to be able to accomplish that. So we will have to hire someone to remove these stumps, like all these logs, because there is nowhere to store them safely. There is nowhere to remove them to. So we will have to hire a company to remove them. And then once that's done, we still have to go in and do a cleanup of the property, which I just wanted I'm just showing you what the estimate was. I haven't I haven't mentioned anything to them. I just want to know what the rough estimate it would be. I have contacted about 10 different companies, Edmonton North, one from Lake Crete. We had Bonneville and Cold Lake, Edmonton, Brown Prairie. Almost every company said no to us, that we're just out of their way, or that they're just so busy with their own area that they don't need to travel to our area for this. And that's the issue I've been finding is happening. Only one who considered coming to us was the company out of Lake Crete. And even then, He said, are you sure you want to hire us? Because I am coming a long way. And I said, this is just, I'm just gathering estimates. And he didn't even give me an estimate because he didn't want to come down here to look at the property.
But if we advertise, there could be other local general contractors who might be interested and who do this work. That's what I'm just wondering why it would just be the barber services, even though I am a big advocate of supporting local businesses, but we
He was the
need to
only
stick
one.
to our policy
Yeah.
and advertise.
He was the only one who provided me one.
Okay.
That was the
Okay.
thing. I sent out emails. I tried phoning him and no one would reply to me, just try to get some urgency out of this.
Mhm.
He was the only one who provided me. That's why I wanted to provide it to you guys, so you would see what the rough estimated cost would be, just to stump them. But again, I would go further if you guys agreed to the removal of these trees. Okay, we now have to start advertising it, putting it out for bid, because once they're stumped or taken down, it's not as urgent as some fallen ones.
Right.
Councillor
And
Wynn.
I just want to finish, I just have
Oh,
one
sorry,
more
go.
thing,
Okay. go
so you
ahead.
don't have to come back to me.
Yeah.
So can we go to this work agreement? So this is what I need clarification on. So if you go to 6.1,
Mhm.
or just 6 payment. And this is between Abbott. Like, this is confusing, this work agreement. Who is this?
So it is with Abbott. It's showing that we will not, no money will go directly from the town of High Prairie to Abbott. Tolko is the one hiring Abbott as their employee to come do the work at the town of High Prairie.
Okay,
So
so,
that's why Abbott just wanted, and Tolko wanted to understand that it's us pretty much hiring Tolko, who then is subcontracting it to Abbott to come complete the work, because Tolko said they don't have bunchers. They don't have that. That's all contracted out.
okay. But if you, 6.1, the town agrees that there is no payment or compensation, okay? Now, if you go to 9.2, it says the contractor shall be entitled to payment for work performed.
That should be Tolko. Tolko shall be entitled to payment for work performed.
Then it made 6.2 and it just, should take out the other one.
But see, this is where it's confusing because Tolko is doing a wonderful gesture by doing this, saying that they're gonna do this. Now you're,
But Tolko did say that there would be a cost to the town.
Yes.
They're not.
Tolko is going to help with the cost, but they weren't going to, they may not cover it all. And so they may want some reimbursement for the expenses of them hiring Abbott. They're paying Abbott, and we may have to pay them some money. So that's, and so in the agreement, like it was suggested, you might want to put, Abbott will receive nothing from the town, but Tolko may receive compensation from the town.
yeah,
So you need 6.1, put Abbott instead of contractor.
6.2, yeah.
Okay.
You could put a 6.1 and a 6.2, just, and instead of the
at
9.2.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait,
So with Barber here, this is the stump grinding, but does this include removing the trees after they're bucked up?
No, that is just the stumps. Because they will have to go flatten. He said they might have to go below ground level just to get them out safely and to remove some of the roots.
Perhaps one of the things that could be done is once they're bucked up, just let people know, hey, there's some wood that's been bucked up. You can come have, there's a lot of people who still have wood stoves in the county. It would probably, they would have to arrange it, because we don't want just anybody driving
that's,
in the middle of a park. If there's 35 trees or whatever, 35 trees that have been dropped. A lot of guys, that's a lot of firewood.
Mhm.
So I think that, you know, as far as getting rid of the trees themselves, as long as they're bucked up in pieces that people can pick up, I think that that's something that we could offer. I think that you'd probably end up getting rid of all of it, truth be told.
What is the plan for removing the logs once they've been bucked up?
I would have to seek out companies who are willing to take them. Or see if we could be stored somewhere until they are given away or sold.
I think if people, well, either that or do we have fire pits at J.C. Park?
No,
Yeah, you know,
No,
like
but we got a campground.
this wood is huge. Like, you're not picking this stuff up. I mean, even if you cut it into 16-inch pieces like this, it's, you'd be grunting to put that in your pickup. And I don't know if West Fraser is willing to buck it up into 16-foot pieces, or if they're looking at cutting it, you know, de-limbing it and bucking it into 8-10-foot pieces, I would suspect, so that they're not taking too much time. I don't know.
When speaking with West Fraser, he said, I just sent some guys out for a few days and what they can do in 2 days is what you get.
Yeah.
I don't want to push them as this is a free service we're taking from them. It is, this J.C. Park is a big undertaking, but in the end, it's about the safety issue. We know about it, we know that trees are falling, and we hear about it. It just happened to be seen not long ago in one of their municipal parks, tree fell and killed a couple of people, including a baby. So this is something that, yes, it's a lot of money and it requires money from reserves. However, it's a safety issue, it's a liability, and it's not just the town employees who are there mowing the lawn, taking care of it and cleaning it, but it's also the users who run through the park, take their kids to play. We know there's an issue, we know there's rotting trees, and if we continue, like, gee, this is an urgent matter, we need to start having at least drop down. If, you know, before we can decide the next step.
She's looking at about $40,000.
Well, plus, because we have all of those trees that have to get moved out of there, right? And they're too big to throw into a chipper.
Yeah, so when I spoke to Toko with the 35 initial trees, he said these are kind of what he initially sees should come down immediately. Some of the other ones he said should be coming down,
Yes,
but these 35 see, but again, he reminded me that these trees are, it's Mother Nature. I could tell you this tree is perfectly normal and it could come down tomorrow because unless you cut it open, you don't see what's in there. I do think next year, if there is no tree assessment done and we haven't had that, it should be done, just for the safety of everyone.
I would feel them out to taking down those 70 trees versus just the 35. Because it's gonna come around next year, because I can guarantee you some of those trees will probably fall next year. And if we can clear off you know, 10, 15-foot radius around the ball diamonds, at least we've got some security there from these things. And the bigger ones, right? But there's much more than 35.
Unfortunately, when I had brought that up, he said, their buncher is a heavy duty equipment. To expect some damage to our J.C. Park, it's expected, they work in the bush. So some of those areas he would not go into, he said. Some of them are quite close to the riverbank. Well, some of the trees being looked at.
Yeah, none of the ones around the ball diamonds are very close there.
There's some areas he just said he would.
Oh, yeah.
Their equipment wouldn't fit into there, that they would, do more damage than anything for us. And that it would cause us more to repair the damage than it would just to get someone to come in with one of those buckets and, you know, rent the right equipment to take care of it. So.
I would press to just get them to take as many as they can while they're in there, because they can do such a nice job just picking that up and moving it. And it's expensive to move that equipment in, and if we don't get as much of it done there, we're paying for hauling it in, hauling it out multiple times. So that would be my real push is just.
Oh, I'll push them too. However, if they say, no, I'm not gonna continue pushing because this is a courtesy they're doing. for us,
Exactly.
And they're sneaking us in for this, because they understand it's a safety issue and
Yeah.
these trees are 10 stories high. They're
Big
very
trees. Yeah, they're very big. Councillor Shisha?
I guess just going back to the stumps again. So I see, we're talking about the taking the trees down. We're talking about removing the trees that are there, of course, that are down. And how's the best way to do that? Yeah, some of us are forestry people here, so we totally understand, but there's a lot of weight for with those old ones. Absolutely. I'm just kind of wondering about, and I know it's just in the conversation, that's the quote, with the stumps. So the bunches can take them quite low. I mean, I understand, and I've been in there. I know the roots are kind of up and it's not level in there at all. But for the most part, I mean, they can be cut pretty low. And there's the understanding that, it is a park, so there would be roots there and there would be a stump of some kind there. But it's quite a price tag for when it says stump grinding. To me, that's taking not any piece of the tree, but it's actually taking all the stumps out, and it is a park. I wonder, are we going to look at where these stumps are or next to them, replanting to something that won't grow so tall? And we're looking at this, we'll be all sitting here looking at this like 60 years from now. But so, if we replanted some of those areas to trees that aren't going to be that tall, that could be a benefit too, with having the trees there, I guess, back. So, for somebody's tripping over stumps, if we replant in some of those areas, it may be an option to 25, 30, 27,000 or whatever I want to say. So I think it's just something maybe to look at when we're talking about the stumps, but I get the trees for sure. I mean, something has to be done there, but I just think we need to revisit that part of it, I guess.
When I saw this estimate, I did contact local and requested, are we able to bring them as low as possible?
Yeah.
And he said, yes,
Question.
with the space, as long as there's the space to do it, that they will bring them down as low as possible to avoid this high of a cost.
Right.
But until the work is done, we won't
Don't
know.
know, yeah.
And that's the issue with this, it's kind of, there's a guess estimate of what we're gonna spend, however, once you start doing it, there is factors that we might not be able to control.
Yeah, because at this point, I'd be really opposed to that.
So I think this is, if we can kind of break this up into chunks, we can certainly give approval. I think what I'm hearing around here is that we would approve the taking down of the trees and the bucking up of the trees, which is what, from West Fraser, Tulco/Abbott. And what West Fraser wants, we can proceed with that. And then maybe some more work will have to go in and thought into moving those logs. I mean, there's idea of bucking them up into pieces and telling people they can come pick them up, those other options. And then the cleanup of the stumps and putting some more black dirt down and seeding it. I mean, there is some more work, but that's another stage of this. There's two other stages that we have to look at, but the falling of the trees and the bucking up of the trees, we could say go ahead with it. Would anybody disagree with that? No, nobody would so that part we can certainly say, and that's part of this contract, right? We made a couple of
Adjustments.
and then, figuring out how we're going to move those logs, and then probably, you know, what we'd want to do as a cleanup could be a RFD that goes out after the fact, right? Because that's now all of a sudden, that's not an urgent matter.
Yes,
There's no,
With
and the stumps will be relatively low. They're not gonna be a hazard where they're at. So that would be fine to sort of proceed with that step.
and
In an RFD, when it's $25,000-$30,000, yeah.
Mhm.
And then they will be able to look at it and assess the price better also, because the trees are down and out of there.
And that's a lot of it. Once it's done, you actually have a better idea of, okay, what needs to be completed, what we initially had thought might not be what it is. I was also, for the removal of the trees, thinking, it's like a campground, but there's a lot of fundraisers that the high schools are doing to raise money for grass, so that was one of my options of contacting them, saying, hey, this, you guys are trying to raise money, we have free wood for you guys to take and sell. Or asking some of our First Nations, because I know they do a lot of camping, firewood, even Shaw's Point, because I know they sell firewood, and they were willing to come just take it off our hands. You know, trying to think of other ideas than us having to pay someone to take it.
Also, does that?
So we got the tree assessment in January 28th. And it looks like it's just in town. But there's 44th Street Park, baseball diamond behind school. Which one is that? Baseball diamonds, which baseball diamonds are behind the school?
That would be the high school only.
Yeah, there's some bull diamond there, and isn't there a bull diamond
No.
behind St. Andrews? Yes, St.
But
Andrews.
there's
No, that's not a ball diamond.
But there are no trees there.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a small area. That they could be talking about between Diamond One and the town facility. The town.
Because I'm trying to find, it says 44th Street.
Fourth.
44 sounds like St. Andrews.
Park,
That's in St. Andrews.
baseball diamonds behind school. But anyway, so
Anyway,
it looks like it specifically was just
the
town central,
residential area.
town central kind of thing, not JC Park. And that was done, we got that, Shanda sent that to us, January 28th,
And how much was that tree assessment?
the free assessment report, so everybody should have got it.
Yeah, do you know how much that assessment was?
I think for my budget that we did when Bill was here, I think it was, I want to say,
Like 10 grand or something.
something like that.
It's more than that. It's more than that.
No, I want to say 25.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I'm just guessing.
And did we follow up on it? Were all the
Yes.
trees?
Yeah, we moved down some of the problems.
We followed up on getting some of them trimmed up and that
Yep.
needed to be done.
Okay, so let's focus on the motions that we need to get dealt with here. Councilor Martins.
Sorry, I was just waiting for everyone to finish. This contract between the town and Avid, did they draw it up, did Tolbert draw it up, or did we draft it?
We drafted it.
Okay, so coming to page 29, item 4.2, one of the things that I was really highlighted was that
Sorry.
contract, right, on the,
You'll have to repeat.
item 4.2, and it's page 29.
Okay.
It says that contractors shall not be held liable for any damage to grass fencing, dugouts, etc. Now, I know you explained a little bit of Tolbert being in there and the big equipment, Avid being in there. So have we done an assessment, so to put that in there, where they assume no liability, to put that in there?
They requested it. They requested that be put in there because they are coming in with their heavy duty equipment. And he said we could go over the grass and damage your grass a little. And we're coming into a municipal park with heavy duty equipment that's designed for bunching. There could be damage. He said, we're gonna avoid it at all costs and we will avoid certain areas. However, if we're trying to turn, tight corner, there could be damage and that they will not be held liable for any of that. So this alternative, the Tolko was about, I'm gonna guess 12 to 15,000, the 35 trees. Barber Services said if he was to come in and do all of them, the 35 from start to finish,
100 grand.
yeah.
Yeah.
At least 100 grand.
So you're confident that any damage would be mitigated by the differential?
That's something our staff can, look after, you know, laying sod, clearing of some land, minor trees,
Just like cloggers like that are dangerous.
very dangerous. And Togo has asked that any work being done, as well as, West Fraser, that the park be shut down to the public. They don't want anyone there, anyone taking a peek and just getting in the way. That is completely closed off to the public, and that we do have one or two staff from our town there in case of, just to help, you know, just to be there in case they need anything. Because there's gravel going in, they're gonna try to minimize it and just kind of stick to the gravel road and see what they can get from there. But he said we're used to just going in and taking it down, but we will be careful.
Just letting everyone know, this also, I've worked with Tolco, and this also opens it up to, there were any, goodness forbid, you know, any, like a WCP, because I was part of a firefighter, like there's so much you've got to answer if somebody, a person gets hurt, even our town staff. This indemnifies them entirely, so just, you know, just to know, just so council knows that in the execution of this contract, we are literally leaving ourselves open to any and all, assuming any and all damages, liability, including person harm. As it says, from the result of any of the work.
But it's only for, it doesn't, include people.
No, that does include people.
It does,
Yeah.
it does, it says any, you know, part resulting from the execution of the work. Yeah, you're right, it doesn't specifically say that.
But people are involved in the work, so that includes them.
I know, I just
They
feel
would
like,
be covered under the contractors, you know, WCB and everything.
No, that's not what this.
not our town
They're,
staff.
they're specific about they're liable and what they're not gonna be liable for.
Yeah.
And it is damage progress. It doesn't say anything about human beings but that's the reason they don't want anybody there.
Yeah.
At that time.
And under insurance, I do say they are required to have workers' compensation, equipment insurance, must have liability insurance, and provide it to the town.
All right, let's move to like what you
Yeah.
need for approvals. And I mean, we just said for the work to proceed, I think in the motion there by is fairly large, right? We may want to narrow it down to say we're that was whose motion was James. I'm thinking, James, would you be okay to just say that we are okay to proceed with the removal and the bucking of the trees?
Yes.
At this point?
Yeah.
And then maybe come back with how we're going to deal with the removal of the trees and, you know, like any costs if we need to remove them. And also the cleaning up of the site if how we do any stump removals and that kind of thing. So those would be a separate stage to this. And okay, would you be all right with just saying those two steps?
Yes.
And I would add just for you to see if we can get them to take down some more of those trees, because we'll be in there next year if we can. After looking at them, there's 35 nasty ones, but there's another 35 that are hazardous, not nasty, yeah.
Were you talking around Diamond One?
Hmm?
Were you talking about Diamond
Well,
One?
no, I went around, between 2 and 3, around the back of 3, and then sort of up a little bit around 1 there too, yeah. Okay, so we have the motion to proceed with the falling and bucking of the trees. All in favor? Vote. Okay, go ahead, one more question before we vote. Quick.
Do we want to put a dollar value on this? Are we still, we are not to exceed the $12,250?
I would not want, for me, I would not want to put a limit on that at this point in time, just because we may want to get those additional trees taken out. And while they're there, and we know that Tulco has said that they might take a little bit more, or maybe, but I would,
Abbott said it's $350 per tree to remove.
but, and that's pretty cheap once they're there, that's yeah. So if we can get some more done at that cost while they're there, we should do it. And Tulco's not going to rake us over the coals, right? Like we get this work done, they got a contractor in there, let's get what we can done. That's my view of it. And that's gonna be, they save us a ton of money because they can just pick them up, saving the other vegetation, the young spruce trees that are in there, if they're taken down other ways, that stuff, the chance of it getting damaged are much higher.
Absolutely.
It's just voting.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else before we vote? And it is that safety hazard thing, so I mean, if we stop and another tree comes down because we stopped at 12,000, then we could be in trouble. All right. All in favor? It is carried. Yes, I will, we'll take a break after that.
Basically, it's doing what here? Also, it's doing what?
Sorry,
The bunching?
or the balconies.
Okay, what would be the next? And then what is Apple's solution else?
So Tulco subcontracts this work.
Okay.